7 men from South Korea once broke every record the music industry thought was permanent. Then they went quiet. Military service pulled them off the global stage one by one. Now, with all 7 members back and BTS fully operational as a group again, something interesting is happening behind closed doors. The world's largest corporations, from sportswear giants to luxury fashion houses to streaming empires, are reportedly positioning themselves to secure deals with a single act. Not a sports league, not a film franchise, a band. The marketing budgets being discussed aren't in the millions, they're estimated in the hundreds of millions. Why? Because BTS doesn't just sell products, they move entire markets. They shift stock prices. They redirect consumer behavior across continents in real time. The ARMY fan base, now over 100 million strong across platforms, isn't just loyal, it's economically active in a way no other fan base on Earth can match. So the real question isn't whether these brands want BTS, it's which ones are willing to pay the price and what they're offering to win. Here are 7 global brands with the strongest reasons to compete. Number 6. Samsung, the tech giant that already knows what BTS is worth. Samsung doesn't need to guess what a BTS partnership looks like. They've already lived it. In June 2020, Samsung Electronics released the Galaxy S20 Plus BTS Edition and Galaxy Buds Plus BTS Edition, devices wrapped in the group's signature purple hue, stamped with the BTS logo and Army Heart iconography. The products weren't a cautious experiment, they were a full commercial bet, and they paid off immediately. The BTS Edition Galaxy S20 Plus sold out in multiple markets within hours of launch. In South Korea, pre-orders crashed Samsung's own website. The collaboration didn't just move units, it turned a smartphone launch into a global cultural event. For Samsung, that experience created something more valuable than revenue. It created a blueprint. To understand why Samsung would fight to bring BTS back into its orbit, you need to understand Samsung's current position and its biggest vulnerability. Samsung Electronics is the world's largest smartphone manufacturer by shipment volume. In 2024, Samsung shipped approximately 225 million smartphones globally, according to IDC data, maintaining its lead over Apple in total units. But volume isn't the whole story. In the premium segment, phones priced above $600, Apple dominates, particularly in North America and Europe. The iPhone doesn't just outsell Samsung's Galaxy S and Z series in these markets, it outperforms them in brand loyalty, ecosystem lock-in, and cultural cachet among younger consumers. And that last point, cultural cachet, is where Samsung has been fighting an uphill battle for years. Apple's brand identity is almost religious in Western markets. The iPhone is more than a device, it's a social signal. Studies have shown that among American teenagers, iPhone ownership exceeds 85%, according to Piper Sandler's semi-annual survey of U.S. teens. Samsung knows this, and Samsung knows that winning the next generation of premium smartphone buyers requires more than better specs or sharper cameras. It requires cultural relevance. This is exactly the strategic function BTS served during the 2020-2021 partnership, and it's exactly why a renewed collaboration in 2027 would make enormous sense. The timing is critical for another reason: artificial intelligence. Samsung has staked its smartphone future on Galaxy AI, a suite of on-device AI features introduced with the Galaxy S24 series in January 2024. Live translation, AI-powered photo editing, intelligent search, real-time transcript summarization. Samsung positioned these tools as the reason consumers should choose Galaxy over iPhone. By 2027, this AI ecosystem will be significantly more mature, and Samsung will need to communicate its value to a global audience that doesn't read tech reviews or watch product keynotes. They need a face that transcends the tech bubble. BTS, 7 individuals collectively followed by hundreds of millions of people across Instagram, TikTok, Weverse, and YouTube, can reach demographics that no tech journalist or paid advertisement ever could. Consider the numbers. BTS's official YouTube channel,
Bangtan TV, has surpassed 70 million subscribers. Their combined social media footprint across all platforms exceeds 250 million followers. But raw follower counts only tell part of the story. What matters to Samsung is engagement quality. ARMY doesn't just scroll past content. They watch, comment, share, create response content, and most importantly from Samsung's perspective, they purchase. During the original Samsung x BTS partnership, fan communities organized bulk purchases of BTS edition devices. They created unboxing content that generated millions of organic views. They turned a corporate product launch into user-generated marketing at a scale that Samsung's own advertising budget couldn't replicate. The earned media value, the unpaid publicity generated by fan activity, was estimated by marketing analysts to be worth several times the cost of the partnership itself.
Samsung's ambitions in 2027 also extend far beyond smartphones. The company operates one of the broadest consumer electronics ecosystems on the planet. Galaxy phones, Galaxy tablets, Galaxy watches, Galaxy Buds, Galaxy Ring, Samsung TVs, Samsung refrigerators, Samsung washing machines, and an increasingly interconnected SmartThings platform that ties them all together. The company's vision is a fully integrated digital lifestyle, where Samsung devices communicate seamlessly with each other and AI assistance is embedded in every interaction. Selling that vision requires more than product demos. It requires storytelling. It requires showing consumers, not telling them, what a Samsung-powered life looks and feels like. BTS, with their documented daily lives, their vlogs, their behind-the-scenes content, and their massive content output on Weverse, are natural vehicles for that kind of lifestyle storytelling. When a BTS member uses a Galaxy device on camera, it doesn't feel like an advertisement, it feels like a window into someone's actual life. There's also a geographic dimension that makes Samsung-BTS alignment almost inevitable. Samsung is South Korea's largest company, not just in tech but across all sectors. Samsung Group's revenue accounts for roughly 15 to 20% of South Korea's entire GDP, a concentration of economic power almost unmatched in any developed nation. BTS is South Korea's most globally recognized cultural export. The symbolic power of the country's biggest corporation partnering with the country's biggest cultural force is not lost on either side. During BTS's previous Samsung partnership, the South Korean media frequently framed the collaboration as a point of national pride, two Korean entities dominating their respective global fields simultaneously. In 2027, with BTS returning to full group activity after military service, that narrative becomes even more compelling. It's a homecoming story, and Samsung has every incentive to be part of it. The competitive landscape adds urgency. Apple has historically avoided K-pop partnerships, relying instead on its own brand gravity. But other tech companies have been paying attention to what Samsung achieved with BTS. Chinese smartphone brands like Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo have aggressively pursued K-pop collaborations in Southeast Asian markets. If Samsung doesn't re-secure BTS, the risk isn't just losing a marketing asset, it's watching a competitor gain one. In the premium smartphone war, where margins are high and brand perception is everything, that kind of loss has measurable financial consequences. Samsung's semiconductor division, the world's largest memory chip manufacturer, also stands to benefit indirectly. As AI features become central to consumer devices, Samsung needs public enthusiasm for AI itself, not just for Samsung's implementation of it. BTS demonstrating Galaxy AI features to their global audience doesn't just sell Samsung phones, it normalizes AI adoption among demographics that might otherwise view it with skepticism or indifference. That's a strategic value that goes beyond any single product cycle. The original Samsung x BTS partnership ended as BTS members began entering military service. There was no public fallout, no controversy, no negative association, just a natural pause.
That clean history matters. In the endorsement world, a previous partnership that ended well is the strongest foundation for a new one. Both sides already know the operational dynamics. Samsung knows how BTS's management at HYBE operates. HYBE knows Samsung's marketing expectations. The negotiation friction is lower, the trust baseline is higher, and the potential, given BTS's renewed global momentum in 2027, is significantly greater than it was in 2020. Samsung doesn't just want BTS back for nostalgia. They want them back because the strategic case is stronger now than it has ever been. AI needs a human face, the ecosystem needs a lifestyle ambassador, and the premium smartphone war needs a cultural weapon. But Samsung isn't the only global brand that understands the power of putting BTS in front of billions. The next company on this list has been doing exactly that, with different products in different markets for over a century.
Number 5. Coca-Cola, the brand that needs BTS to stay young. There is a photograph from 1900 that shows a hand-painted Coca-Cola sign on the side of a brick building in Atlanta, Georgia. Over 125 years later, that same logo, white Spencerian script on red, is recognized by an estimated 94% of the world's population. Coca-Cola is not just a beverage company. It is, by multiple independent brand valuation studies, one of the most recognized commercial symbols in human history. The company operates in more than 200 countries and territories. It sells approximately 2.2 billion servings of its products every single day. And yet, for all that dominance, Coca-Cola has a problem it cannot solve with distribution networks or bottling plants. Young people are drifting away. This isn't speculation, it's a documented demographic shift that Coca-Cola's own leadership has acknowledged. Global health consciousness among Gen Z and millennial consumers has pushed sugary carbonated drinks down the preference list. Data from Euromonitor International has shown a steady decline in per capita carbonated soft drink consumption in key markets, including the United States, Western Europe, and parts of East Asia. Coca-Cola has responded with product diversification: Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, Smartwater, Costa Coffee, Body Armor sports drinks, and a growing portfolio of low-sugar and no-sugar options. But product diversification alone doesn't solve the deeper issue. Coca-Cola's brand identity, the feeling it evokes, needs to resonate with consumers who were born after the year 2000, and that requires cultural currency that no amount of advertising spend can manufacture artificially. Coca-Cola has always understood this. The company's marketing history reads like a timeline of global pop culture itself. In 1971, they produced the iconic Hilltop commercial, young people from around the world singing "I'd like to buy the world a Coke," which is still studied in marketing programs today. In the 1980s, Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston appeared in Coca-Cola campaigns. In the 2000s, Beyoncé became a brand ambassador. In 2014, the Share a Coke campaign, replacing the logo with popular first names, generated over 500,000 photos shared on social media with the hashtag #ShareACoke. Every generation, Coca-Cola finds the cultural pulse and aligns itself with whoever is at the center of it. In 2027, that center has a name. Actually, it has 7. BTS and Coca-Cola are not strangers. In 2018, BTS became brand ambassadors for Coca-Cola Korea, appearing in campaigns tied to the FIFA World Cup. Limited edition BTS Coca-Cola cans and bottles were released in the South Korean market, and the results followed the familiar BTS pattern: rapid sellouts, massive social media engagement, and a surge in brand visibility among younger Korean consumers. The partnership was regionally focused, but the global potential was obvious even then. BTS was already filling stadiums worldwide, and their fan base was already operating as a transnational community. Coca-Cola, however, kept the collaboration limited to Korea. In hindsight, that restraint left enormous value on the table. The landscape in 2027 is fundamentally different from 2018. BTS's global footprint has expanded dramatically in the intervening years. Their music has been streamed tens of billions of times across platforms. Their UN appearances, 3 addresses to the General Assembly between 2018 and 2022, elevated them from pop stars to recognized cultural ambassadors. Their fanbase, ARMY, has matured into one of the most organized and geographically diverse consumer communities on the planet, with verified significant presences in the United States, Brazil, India, Indonesia, Japan, the Philippines, Mexico, and Turkey, and across Europe. For a company like Coca-Cola, which thinks in terms of global campaigns that must work simultaneously across dozens of markets, BTS offers something almost no other cultural figure can: genuine universality.
Consider the operational challenge Coca-Cola faces with every global campaign. The company must find imagery, messaging, and ambassadors that translate across languages, religions, political systems, and aesthetic preferences. A celebrity who dominates in the United States might be unknown in Indonesia. A sports star who fills stadiums in Europe might have zero cultural relevance in Latin America. This is why Coca-Cola has historically relied on its own brand imagery, polar bears, Santa Claus, and the contour bottle, rather than celebrity faces for its biggest global pushes. The risk of a celebrity not translating is simply too high. But BTS breaks that calculus. Their fan base isn't concentrated in one region, it's distributed globally with genuine depth in every major consumer market Coca-Cola cares about. A single BTS campaign could launch simultaneously in Seoul, Sao Paulo, Mumbai, Jakarta, Mexico City, and Paris, and resonate authentically in every single one. The financial logic supports this. Coca-Cola's annual marketing budget is estimated at approximately $4 billion, making it one of the largest advertising spenders on Earth. A BTS global partnership would represent a fraction of that budget, but could generate disproportionate returns through earned media, the organic content, social media activity, and press coverage that ARMY generates without being asked or paid. During BTS's 2018 Coca-Cola Korea campaign, fan-created content featuring the BTS Coke bottles circulated across Twitter, Instagram, and Weibo for weeks, reaching audiences far beyond Korea. Scale that dynamic to a global campaign, and the earned media value could dwarf the partnership cost. There's also the competitive dimension. PepsiCo, Coca-Cola's eternal rival, has been active in the K-pop space. Pepsi partnered with Blackpink for campaigns in Southeast Asia, generating significant buzz in markets where the cola wars are fought street by street. If Coca-Cola allows Pepsi to dominate the K-pop endorsement space, the single most influential music genre among Asian youth, the long-term brand perception consequences could be significant. Coca-Cola doesn't just compete for market share in beverages, it competes for emotional real estate in consumers' minds. Losing the K-pop generation to Pepsi would be a strategic failure that no product reformulation could fix. Coca-Cola's recent campaign direction also aligns naturally with BTS's brand identity. The company's Real Magic global platform, launched in 2021, emphasizes human connection, shared moments, and the idea that magic happens when people come together. BTS's entire public narrative, 7 individuals from modest backgrounds who came together, supported each other through hardship, and achieved global success while maintaining visible bonds of friendship, is essentially a living embodiment of that campaign philosophy. The alignment isn't forced, it's organic. A Coca-Cola campaign featuring BTS wouldn't need to fabricate a story. The story already exists. The sustainability angle adds another layer. Coca-Cola has committed to making 100% of its packaging recyclable by 2025 and using at least 50% recycled material in its packaging by 2030. BTS, meanwhile, has been publicly associated with environmental and social causes. Their partnership with UNICEF's Love Myself campaign raised over $3.6 million for anti-violence initiatives. Aligning BTS with Coca-Cola's sustainability messaging would give the company a credible, youth-oriented voice for initiatives that often struggle to capture young consumers' attention. Coca-Cola has spent over a century perfecting the art of associating its product with happiness, togetherness, and global unity. BTS has spent over a decade building a brand that represents exactly those values, not through corporate messaging, but through lived experience.
The match is almost too clean, but Coca-Cola isn't the only company that sees BTS as a bridge between product and culture. The next brand on this list operates in the same lifestyle space, but with a very different playbook and a very aggressive appetite for cultural dominance.
Number 4. Nike. The swoosh wants a cultural reset. On September 5, 1995, Nike aired a commercial that changed advertising forever. A bald man in a Chicago Bulls jersey soared through the air, tongue out, basketball in one hand, gravity seemingly optional. The tagline was 3 words, just do it. The man was Michael Jordan. And the marriage between Nike and MJ didn't just sell sneakers. It created an entirely new economic category. The Air Jordan line alone generates over $5 billion in annual revenue for Nike, nearly 3 decades after Jordan played his last professional game. That single partnership taught Nike a lesson it has never forgotten. The right cultural figure doesn't just endorse a product. They become the product. Every major Nike partnership since, LeBron James, Serena Williams, Cristiano Ronaldo, Travis Scott, has followed the Jordan blueprint. Find someone who transcends their field, attach the swoosh to their identity, and let culture do the selling. In 2027, Nike is looking at BTS and seeing the next chapter of that playbook. But this time, the field isn't sports. It's everything. Nike needs this. Badly. The company that once seemed invincible has been navigating a turbulent stretch. In fiscal year 2024, Nike reported revenue of approximately $51.4 billion. Still enormous. Still the world's largest sportswear company by a wide margin. But the growth trajectory had stalled. Nike's stock price declined significantly through 2023 and 2024, losing roughly 30% of its value from its late 2021 highs. The reasons were multiple and well documented. A strategic pivot toward direct-to-consumer sales, selling through Nike's own website and apps rather than through wholesale partners like Foot Locker, had alienated retail partners without fully compensating in digital sales. Meanwhile, challenger brands were surging. On running, backed by tennis legend Roger Federer, saw revenues grow over 45% year-over-year. Hoka, owned by Deckers Brands, captured the running market with maximalist cushioning that Nike had dismissed. New Balance, once considered a brand for dads, underwent a cultural renaissance through sharp collaborations with designers like Leon Dore and Jound. Nike wasn't losing on product quality. It was losing on cultural momentum. This is where the BTS equation becomes strategically vital. Nike's traditional playbook relies on athletes, and athletes still matter enormously to the brand. But the cultural center of gravity among young consumers has shifted. A 2023 Morning Consult survey found that among Gen Z adults aged 18-25, musicians and entertainers held greater influence on purchasing decisions than athletes in fashion and lifestyle categories. Sneakers, once driven almost entirely by sports performance and basketball culture, are now driven equally, and in some markets primarily, by music, streetwear, and social media aesthetics. Travis Scott's collaborations with Nike demonstrated this shift perfectly. His Air Jordan 1 Low, Reverse Mocha, released in 2022, had nothing to do with basketball. It was a fashion object, a cultural artifact, and it resold for 3 to 4 times its retail price. The lesson was clear. The sneaker market's future is cultural, not athletic. And no cultural force in 2027 commands more global attention than BTS. BTS's relationship with fashion is not peripheral to their identity. It's central to it. Each member has developed a distinct personal style that is tracked, analyzed, and emulated by millions. RM has been photographed at major art exhibitions and galleries worldwide, often wearing avant-garde pieces that blur fashion and art. Suga's minimalist, oversized aesthetic has been profiled by fashion publications. J-Hope's bold, eclectic streetwear choices, often mixing high fashion with vintage and athletic pieces, have earned him recognition as one of K-pop's most adventurous dressers. Jimin's precision tailoring and elegant silhouettes have drawn comparisons to classic menswear icons. V, who became a global brand ambassador for Celine under Hedi Slimane's creative direction, brought high fashion credibility to the group's fashion profile. Jungkook's casual, athletic style, heavy on basics, sneakers, and sporty layers, aligns most directly with Nike's core aesthetic. And Jin's clean, classic approach to fashion rounds out a group that collectively covers virtually every segment of the menswear market. For Nike, this isn't just one ambassador. It's 7 distinct entry points into 7 different consumer demographics. The sneaker dimension deserves special attention. BTS members have been photographed wearing Nike products organically, not as part of endorsement deals, but as personal preference. Paparazzi and fan site photos have captured various members in Air Force Ones, Dunks, Air Jordans, and other Nike silhouettes over the years. This organic visibility matters because it establishes authenticity. When a celebrity is seen wearing a brand outside of a paid partnership, it signals genuine preference. If Nike were to formalize a BTS partnership, it wouldn't look like a corporate imposition. It would look like a natural extension of what was already happening. Nike's SNKRS app, the company's primary platform for limited edition sneaker releases, represents another strategic alignment. SNKRS operates on a drop model, limited quantities, announced release times, high demand, frequent sellouts. This creates scarcity, hype, and secondary market value. HYBE operates on exactly the same dynamics. BTS merchandise drops, album releases, and concert ticket sales all follow the high demand, limited supply model. HYBE members are already conditioned to set alarms, coordinate online, and execute rapid purchases at scale. A Nike x BTS sneaker collection released through SNKRS wouldn't just generate sales. It would generate a cultural moment, a collision of 2 of the world's most engaged consumer communities on a single platform. The Asian market calculus mirrors the Adidas argument, but with a critical difference. Nike, unlike Adidas, holds the overall lead in the Asian premium sportswear segment. But that lead is not secure. Chinese domestic brands, particularly Antas Sports, which acquired Finland's Amer Sports, parent of Arc'teryx and Salomon, in 2019 for $5.2 billion, are climbing fast. Li Ning has transformed from a budget brand to a streetwear credible label. In Southeast Asia, local preferences and price sensitivity create constant vulnerability. Nike cannot afford to cede cultural ground in Asia. A BTS partnership would function as a defensive moat, reinforcing Nike's position in the region by aligning with the single most influential Asian cultural export of the 21st century. There's also the matter of Nike's women's business, which the company has identified as a key growth area. BTS's fan base skews significantly female. Estimates from multiple fan demographic surveys suggest that 70–85% of ARMY identifies as female. A BTS collaboration could serve as a gateway for Nike to reach young female consumers who might not engage with traditional sports markets. Nike built its empire on a simple insight: attach the swoosh to greatness, and greatness sells the swoosh. For 40 years, that greatness came from courts and fields. In 2027, it comes from stages, streaming platforms, and the phones of 100 million fans who don't separate music from fashion from identity. BTS represents Nike's chance to evolve the Jordan blueprint for a generation that defines greatness differently. But athletic wear and sneaker culture are one thing. The next brand on this list plays in an entirely different arena, one where the price tags are higher, the margins are thicker, and the cultural stakes are even more intense. Number 3, Louis Vuitton, strengthening the modern luxury image. In April 2021, the Parisian luxury house Louis Vuitton did something it had never done in its then 167-year history. It appointed all 7 members of a single musical group as global house ambassadors. High luxury had traditionally relied on individual Hollywood actors, classical musicians, or elite athletes to represent its heritage. By signing BTS as a collective, Louis Vuitton signaled a fundamental shift in how the luxury industry defined cultural authority. The partnership was not merely a marketing campaign. It was a structural alignment. 3 months later, in July 2021, the group appeared in a fashion film showcasing the late Virgil Abloh's men's Fall/Winter 2021 collection. The video, filmed on a custom industrial set in Seoul, garnered over 4 million views on YouTube within its first 24 hours. More importantly, it blurred the boundary between high fashion, performance art, and global digital media. For LVMH, the conglomerate behind Louis Vuitton, This was concrete proof that the rules of luxury consumption had changed. To understand why Louis Vuitton is positioned to contest for BTS in 2027, one must examine the corporate objectives of LVMH. Led by Bernard Arnault, LVMH is the world's largest luxury goods conglomerate, reporting over 86 billion euros in revenue for 2023. Louis Vuitton is the crown jewel of this empire, generating an estimated 20 billion euros annually. However, the global luxury market has entered a period of normalization. Following a post-pandemic surge, luxury growth slowed globally in 2024 and 2025 due to macroeconomic pressures, particularly in China and the United States. A report by Bain & Company highlighted that the future of the luxury market depends heavily on Gen Z and Gen Alpha consumers, who are projected to represent 70% of global luxury spend by 2030. These younger demographics do not view luxury through the traditional lens of European heritage and exclusivity. Instead, they demand cultural relevance, diversity, and digital engagement. BTS represents the intersection of all three. The group's historical connection with Louis Vuitton was heavily influenced by Virgil Abloh, the brand's men's artistic director from 2018 until his passing in late 2021. Abloh's design philosophy was rooted in streetwear as an art movement, a concept that perfectly matched BTS's aesthetic. The group had already spent years organically wearing streetwear brands alongside high fashion. When they wore custom, structurally complex Louis Vuitton suits to the 2021 Grammy Awards, they demonstrated that modern luxury could be youthful, colorful, and global. The earned media value of that single red carpet appearance was valued in the tens of millions of dollars, driving unprecedented traffic to Louis Vuitton's digital channels. When BTS entered their solo era and subsequent military service in late 2022, the luxury market witnessed a fragmentation of their influence. Rather than letting the group's luxury presence fade, rival fashion houses moved quickly to sign individual members. Jimin was appointed global ambassador for Dior, another LVMH brand, and Tiffany & Company. Suga signed with Valentino. V became the face of Celine and Cartier. RM partnered with Bottega Veneta. J-Hope remained with Louis Vuitton as an individual ambassador. Jin, upon completing his military service, was named global ambassador for Gucci and French jewelry house Fred. Jungkook partnered with Calvin Klein. This distribution of the members across competing luxury portfolios proved that the BTS effect was not dependent on the group acting as a single unit. Each member possessed enough individual cultural capital to anchor a major global fashion house. However, the reunion of BTS as a complete 7-member group in 2026 and heading into 2027 changes the strategic equation. While individual ambassadorships are effective, they do not carry the same cultural gravity as the collective unit. A group campaign represents a unified statement. For Louis Vuitton, resecuring the entire group would be a demonstration of market dominance. Under the creative direction of Pharrell Williams, who succeeded Abloh as men's creative director in 2023, Louis Vuitton has leaned even further into the integration of music, celebrity culture, and luxury. Williams's runway shows in Paris have functioned as cultural festivals, featuring live musical performances and star-studded guest lists. BTS fits seamlessly into this creative ecosystem. Pharrell's emphasis on global citizenship, color theory, and bold streetwear silhouettes aligns directly with the visual identity BTS has cultivated. The economic reality of luxury endorsements is highly transactional. According to data from Launchmetrics, which measures media impact value, MIV, K-pop stars consistently generate higher engagement rates and MIV than their Western counterparts during major fashion events. During Paris Fashion Week, a single social media post by a member of BTS can generate millions of dollars in MIV within days. This is because K-pop fanbases operate with a high level of digital organization, amplifying official brand content across multiple platforms simultaneously. When a luxury brand partners with BTS, they are not just buying the right to put their clothes on the artists, they are acquiring access to a global digital distribution network operated voluntarily by millions of fans. This digital distribution is particularly critical in the Asia-Pacific region, which remains a key growth market for LVMH. Countries like South Korea, Japan, China, and the nations of Southeast Asia possess highly sophisticated luxury consumers. In South Korea, per capita spend on luxury goods is among the highest in the world, reaching approximately $325 per person annually according to Morgan Stanley. BTS's status as furthermore, the concept of luxury has evolved to encompass lifestyle, art, and values. BTS's philanthropic efforts and public statements on mental health, self-love, and social justice have given them a reputation for integrity that is rare in the celebrity endorsement landscape. In an era where consumers increasingly scrutinize the ethical alignment of the brands they support, associating with public figures who maintain a clean, positive reputation is a form of risk mitigation for luxury houses. Louis Vuitton, as a market leader, faces constant scrutiny regarding its sustainability practices and cultural representation. A partnership with BTS helps position the brand as forward-thinking, inclusive, and aligned with contemporary values. The competition for BTS's collective endorsement in 2027 is expected to be intense. Every major fashion conglomerate, from Kering, owners of Gucci and Saint Laurent, to independent houses like Chanel and Hermès, understands the value the group brings. For Louis Vuitton, the challenge will be to offer a partnership that goes beyond standard photo shoots and runway appearances. They will need to offer creative collaboration, global platforms for the members' individual artistic pursuits, and campaigns that respect the group's status as cultural pioneers rather than simple models. The brand that succeeds will not just win a marketing contract, they will define the visual language of modern luxury for the next era. But while the luxury industry fights over how BTS looks on the red carpet, the entertainment industry is focused on how they sound, how they perform, and where their global audience gathers to watch them. The battle over the group's visual style is mirrored by an equally high-stakes competition in the streaming space, where one company is preparing a massive bid to host their next global media project. Number 2. Netflix, creating global exclusive content. In April 2023, Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos stood alongside South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol in Washington, D.C., and made an announcement that clarified the company's long-term international strategy. Netflix committed to investing $2.5 billion in South Korean content over the following 4 years. This was not a sudden impulse. It was the direct result of data accumulated over years of global streaming operations. South Korean television shows, films, and unscripted series had transitioned from niche offerings to major drivers of subscriber acquisition and retention worldwide. According to Netflix's own data, over 60% of its global subscribers watched at least one Korean title in 2022. The cultural export known as the Hallyu Wave had become a cornerstone of the world's largest streaming platform. Yet, as Netflix looks toward 2027, the competition for consumer attention is fiercer than ever, and the platform requires more than scripted dramas to maintain its lead. It needs high-impact, exclusive cultural events that can attract millions of subscribers simultaneously. BTS represents the ultimate prize in this category. To understand Netflix's interest in BTS, one must analyze the current state of the global streaming market. By 2026, the streaming wars had entered a mature phase characterized by high market saturation in North America and Europe, rising subscriber acquisition costs, and increased churn, the rate at which customers cancel their subscriptions. To combat churn, platforms are moving away from relying solely on standard series releases and are investing heavily in event television and live programming. Netflix has aggressively expanded into live events, securing multi-year rights for programs like World Wrestling Entertainment's Raw, starting in 2025, and NFL Christmas Day games. A live-streamed concert or an exclusive behind-the-scenes documentary series featuring a reunited BTS would serve as a massive subscriber acquisition tool, pulling in a highly active global demographic that might otherwise be difficult to reach through traditional advertising. The economic model of a streaming platform relies on the lifetime value, LTV, of its subscribers relative to the cost of acquiring them. BTS's fanbase, ARMY, exhibits consumer behaviors that are highly attractive to subscription-based models. A study of fan behavior indicates that BTS fans are highly likely to purchase subscriptions or media access specifically to view content featuring the group. Furthermore, they tend to remain subscribed to platforms that host a library of their preferred artists' content, effectively reducing the churn rate. For Netflix, acquiring the exclusive rights to a major BTS project in 2027 is not just about the initial broadcast. It is about securing a long-term, loyal subscriber base that will generate recurring monthly revenue. This strategy is also a defensive move against Netflix's primary competitors. In June 2022, the Walt Disney Company Asia Pacific and HYBE announced a major global content partnership. This deal yielded several high-profile projects for Disney+, including the concert film BTS, Permission to Dance on Stage LA, the travel reality show in the SOP, Friendcation featuring V, and the multi-part docuseries BTS Monuments, Beyond the Star. Meanwhile, Amazon's Prime Video secured the rights to stream the group's historic 2022 yet-to-come in Busan concert. These partnerships demonstrated that BTS content could successfully drive engagement and subscriptions for rival platforms. For Netflix, entering the market in 2027 with a superior bid is essential to preventing its competitors from monopolizing the music, documentary, and live performance space, particularly in the rapidly growing Asia-Pacific region. The scale of Netflix's global infrastructure gives it a unique advantage in executing a partnership of this magnitude. Netflix operates in over 190 countries, with a subscriber base exceeding 270 million as of late 2024. The platform possesses the technical capability to deliver high-quality, localized content simultaneously to millions of viewers across different time zones. The localization process, translating and subtitling content into dozens of languages, is standard practice for Netflix, ensuring that a BTS documentary or concert film is accessible to fans globally the moment it drops. This global reach matches the geographical distribution of BTS's audience, which spans from Seoul to Sao Paulo, London to Jakarta. Furthermore, the nature of BTS's content needs has evolved. As the members complete their military service and return to group activities, their story is no longer just about their rise to fame. It is about their mature phase, their personal growth during their time apart, and their collective return to the stage. This narrative contains significant emotional weight and documentary value. Netflix's documentary division, known for high production value sports and music series like Formula One, Drive to Survive, and Miss Americana, is uniquely suited to tell this story. A high-quality docuseries would appeal not only to the core fanbase, but also to general viewers interested in the mechanics of global pop culture and the human story behind the phenomenon. The potential for unscripted reality content represents another lucrative avenue. BTS's self-produced variety show, Run BTS, has been a staple of their content strategy for years, generating hundreds of millions of views. Netflix has shown a growing appetite for Korean unscripted content, with hits like Physical, 100 and Singles Inferno demonstrating global appeal. A high-budget, Netflix-produced travel or variety series featuring the reunited members would combine the platform's production expertise with the group's natural chemistry, creating a highly repeatable and binge-worthy format. The financial stakes of such a deal would be historic. Given the group's global standing, the licensing and production fees for an exclusive BTS project could easily rival the budgets of major Hollywood feature films. However, the risk for Netflix is mitigated by the predictability of the audience. Unlike a new fiction series, which carries the risk of commercial failure regardless of production quality, a BTS project comes with a pre-existing, highly motivated audience. The marketing campaign for the project would be amplified organically by the fanbase, reducing the marketing spend required by the platform to achieve visibility. As the streaming landscape continues to consolidate and evolve, the platforms that control the most influential cultural properties will hold the advantage. Netflix's $2.5 billion commitment to Korean content laid the groundwork, but securing the biggest name in global entertainment would be the ultimate validation of that investment. By offering a platform that combines unmatched global reach, sophisticated localization, and a proven track record of elevated storytelling, Netflix aims to make themselves the definitive home for BTS's next era. Yet, even with Netflix's massive global footprint, they are not the only entertainment giant looking to leverage the group's return. The final brand on this list has spent nearly a century building an empire on family entertainment, and they have already shown how far they are willing to go to keep BTS in their family. Number 1. Disney, building world-scale entertainment projects. In July 2022, the Walt Disney Company Asia Pacific and HYBE announced a strategic global content partnership designed to showcase South Korean creative talent to the world. The deal was signed at a time when Disney Plus was seeking to accelerate its international expansion and diversify its content library to compete more effectively with Netflix. The partnership immediately yielded 3 major projects. BTS, Permission to Dance on Stage LA, a high-definition concert film documenting the group's post-pandemic stadium return in the SOP. Friendcation, a travel reality show featuring V alongside an ensemble of prominent South Korean actors, and BTS Monuments, Beyond the Star, a 9-part documentary series tracking the group's journey from their debut to their pre-enlistment era. This collaboration was not a temporary promotional tie-in. It was a foundational alliance between the world's most powerful traditional entertainment conglomerate and the world's most influential music group. As BTS returns to full group status in 2027, Disney's corporate machinery is prepared to leverage its entire vertical integration model to secure their next chapter. To comprehend why Disney represents the most complex competitor in this brand war, one must look beyond streaming. While Disney Plus is a critical component of the company's modern business model, the Walt Disney Company operates on a system of cross-promotional synergy that no other entity on this list can match. This system, originally mapped out by Walt Disney himself in the 1950s, dictates that every division of the company, theatrical film releases, television networks, streaming platforms, physical theme parks, cruise lines, music publishing, and consumer products, must support and amplify the others. When Disney partners with a cultural property, they do not simply host its videos. They integrate it into a global consumer ecosystem. For BTS in 2027, a partnership with Disney could mean original soundtracks for major Walt Disney Animation or Pixar feature films, themed attractions, or exclusive pop-up events at Disney parks in Anaheim, Orlando, Tokyo, and Paris, global theatrical distribution of their reunion concert films, and extensive international merchandising networks. The strategic importance of this partnership to Disney's streaming business is heavily concentrated in the Asia-Pacific, APAC, and Latin American markets. In these regions, local content is a major factor in subscriber retention. In markets like Indonesia, India, and Thailand, Disney operates Disney Plus Hotstar, a localized version of its streaming service that relies heavily on local language programming and regional pop culture to drive adoption. The inclusion of BTS content on these platforms has consistently served as a primary acquisition channel for younger demographics who might not otherwise subscribe to a service historically associated with children's programming. By securing the exclusive global distribution rights to BTS's 2027 comeback projects, Disney can defend its market share in these highly competitive territories while elevating the average revenue per user, the RPU, through premium content offerings. There is also a profound alignment of brand values between the two entities. The Walt Disney Company is highly protective of its corporate reputation and family-friendly image. Over nearly a century, the company has built its brand on the concepts of hope, perseverance, and universal storytelling. BTS's public narrative and philanthropic record fit this corporate identity perfectly. The group's Love Myself campaign with UNICEF, which raised millions of dollars to combat youth violence, their addresses at the United Nations General Assembly, and their 2022 visit to the White House to discuss anti-Asian hate crimes have established them as global ambassadors with a clean and highly respected public profile. In the corporate entertainment landscape, where celebrity controversies can instantly devalue multi-million-dollar campaigns, BTS represents a rare combination of massive global reach and exceptionally low brand risk. Disney's historical precedent with music properties also suggests how a 2027 partnership could be scaled. The company has a long history of elevating musical acts through its platforms, from the soundtrack collaborations with Elton John and Phil Collins in the 1990s to the global distribution of Taylor Swift's Folklore, the Long Pond studio sessions, and the Eras Tour, Taylor's version, on Disney Plus in 2024. These projects demonstrated that Disney could treat music films not as secondary content, but as major cinematic releases, complete with global marketing campaigns and high production value distribution. A reunited BTS represents the next logical step in this music strategy. The technical requirements of a global BTS launch, including high-fidelity audio engineering, multi-camera stadium setups, and secure global streaming infrastructure, are well within the capabilities of Disney's theatrical and media distribution divisions. The financial synergy between HYBE and Disney also extends to the physical retail space. The global merchandise market for BTS is estimated to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars annually, encompassing everything from albums and apparel to collectible figures and lifestyle accessories. Disney's consumer products division is the largest licensing entity in the world, with decades of experience managing global supply chains and retail partnerships. A collaborative merchandise line, combining Disney's intellectual property with BTS's brand, would have immediate access to thousands of physical retail locations globally, including official Disney stores and major international retail partners. This level of physical distribution is something that digital-first platforms like Netflix or tech-focused hardware manufacturers like Samsung cannot easily replicate. Furthermore, the integration of K-pop into Disney's musical film portfolio represents an untapped creative boundary. Disney's theatrical success has historically been built on the musical format. The integration of contemporary musical styles into films like Moana and Encanto demonstrated that modern global sounds are highly effective at driving box office performance and soundtrack streams. Collaborative projects in 2027, such as members of BTS voicing characters or contributing original music to upcoming Disney or Pixar features, would allow the group to expand their artistic credentials into Hollywood while giving Disney access to the group's massive, highly engaged fanbase for its theatrical releases. The competition for BTS in 2027 is fundamentally a competition to define the future of global entertainment. While sportswear brands seek to dress them and technology companies seek to put their devices in their hands, Disney seeks to integrate them into a multi-platform narrative that spans screens, stages, theme parks, and retail outlets worldwide. The brand that secures the group's return will not just gain an endorsement. They will gain a partner capable of moving billions of dollars in consumer capital. As the discussion surrounding these 7 global brands intensifies, the ultimate outcome remains in the hands of the group and their management, leaving the entire industry waiting to see where the world's biggest pop culture force will land next.